and people in Thunder Bay sang that second line. Then he went to play for a while in Thunder Bay, and they every time they'd sing it, they'd cheer for themselves. So they sang that verse 3 times and the chorus, and it was really very cool. So I look forward to a similar thing tonight in Winnipeg, because it is kind of an anthem that I wrote just on a little whim, putting the album together. I thought I'll write something about growing up in Winnipeg in the 60s and how great it was, and I thought it would be kind of an insignificant album cut that people might enjoy hearing. And then when Neil Young heard about it and offered to play on it, and then offered to be in the video, it took on a life of its own. And then Margo Timmins offering to be in it, saying it was just a great tune, and she really felt an affinity for it and wanted to sing kind of a Joni Mitchell part, because that kind of thing. So the whole thing just grew and grew. I couldn't believe actually what happened. Once I had the idea, I'll write a song called Prairie Town. I just sat down and all the lyrics wrote themselves. I recorded it, people heard about it, and they all offered to come and play and sing and jump on the tractor, so to speak, on the hay wagon.
Okay, and I guess it's probably, the type of situation. You're from Winnipeg, so I guess it's okay for a Winnipegger to say Portage and Main 50 below. It's just when someone from out of town probably says it, that's when people will probably get riled.
Well, funny enough, being in Germany, fans came up to me, and this was just a month ago, with a map of Canada. Neil Young had signed it, because he's touring over there. I signed it. They had Winnipeg circled and Thunder Bay circled. They had Saskatoon circled. And to people in Germany and all over the world, there's these incredible names. We treat these names as normal.
Yeah.
Because we grew up here. But when you're from another country and you're just learning English and you hear a word like Winnipeg or Saskatoon, it's got so many syllables and letters. And Thunder Bay, I mean, all these names have a great mystique to people in the UK and in Germany. And Orillia, Ontario, where Gordon Lightfoot's from. So these fans had these funny little towns, which are basically Indian names, right? Yeah. So to these people, it's like really a great thing. And they know everybody who's from Winnipeg, every comedian, every rock and roll band, and every person from it. So it's really cool. And Prairie Town is kind of an anthem all over Europe. There's just Canadians there, the armed forces guys who we met many times over there. They're still there, driving around in their Jeeps and everything. They'd all heard Prairie Town on German radio, and I'd go by them, I'd say USA or Canada, and I'd give them a thumbs up, and they'd go, Prairie Town. It was just really incredible.
Just think, Winnipeg may be more known than Toronto in some of these places around the world someday.
The 50 Below came from, in the 60s, we would always go down to the radio stations, and CKY and CKRC were very close to Portage and Main. They had that big Coca-Cola sign that lit up all the lights, and it had the time and the temperature just flashing every couple of seconds. So when a DJ was on the air, he'd say, it's very cold in Winnipeg today, and their temperature he'd look out the window at Portage and Main, because that's where the big thermometer was. So it became a focus point for the weather. The weather at Portage and Main, because that was the heart and soul of Winnipeg, where the two roads met, was 50 below. I remember it being 86 below as a kid, 40 below. I actually had the song when I wrote it, getting progressively colder. It started at 5 below, 20 below, 30 below, and that semed a little bit just too much.
And the electronics on the sign probably didn't work well when it was like 40 below.
So I left it at 50, and I've had a lot of people say, is it 15 below? And I'd say, no, that's wimpy. I mean, Winnipeggers are tough. When it's 50 below, you go out and do things. I mean, you're playing hockey outside, and and you stay inside and rock and roll. That's, I think, where the great music came out of Winnipeg, out of all the basements. When you get old enough to say, I don't want to play hockey anymore, it's too cold, you start a band and you stay inside and create music, as did the Guess Who and BTO and Crash Test Dummies and the Watchmen. There's a lot of great music that's come out of Winnipeg. Just, I think, from the geographic location of where Winnipeg is, it's not near anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, Regina and Minneapolis are quite far away, so it's its own thing. We make our own entertainment, and
although Bret the Hitman Hart did beat Ric Flair in Saskatoon, if you're a wrestling fan.
Oh, yeah, I am. I really like Bret. He's really a great athlete. He's great.
Okay, coming up is the big show in Gimli this August. Actually, from the time we have to run this, because my schedule is tight, it's right around the corner. Do you know what night you're playing, and are you looking forward to that?
We're playing the Sunday night about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, which is really a good spot. We look forward to that. We can't play any later.
Canada, I hear, that this show in Gimli.
The Gimli show, I've got to say, the promoters here, I give them all the credit in the world, because it's famous across Canada as being a great festival with a great site, great groups, great stage. Everything is really top notch, and it's all Canadian music, and that is really, fabulous. For me, it's a thrill, because in the old days, I mean, most of my life, I'd be either in the Guests or BT. We'd go into a festival. We would be the token Canadian band. To do a festival now, that's really solely Canadian, and it doesn't even have half the great Canadian acts on it. I mean, there's a lot of great Canadian acts. There's these festivals all over, but the one in Gimli, the Sun Festival, is really a special one. I'm really glad to be here playing it, you know.
Great. So we can look forward to that coming up very soon. Now, one last question before we ask you about future plans. It's been documented in the press and the papers, and I'm just curious about this, that you are in fact allergic to cigarette smoke. And I don't think I've ever seen, no matter how much Bachman, BTO, or any band you've been in, in my time, as your popularity either increases or decreases, does that factor mean that you would never play a club situation because of the cigarette smoke in the club?
No, we do a lot of clubs.
Oh, okay.
I just don't, and that's a necessary evil, right? It's in a club, we're playing a club, but I don't like smoking in my dressing room. The necessary evil, flying to Germany, there is smoking on Atlantic flights, and
there's
so
lots
you're
of smoking
sitting
in
there and
your-
it's just recirculating. We were all very sick, we all had headaches and everything because but that's what happens when you fly overseas. Unless you charter the whole plane. But I do prefer a smoke-free environment. I believe it's really a dangerous thing. First and second-hand smoke is very dangerous. Does nobody any good that I can see.
Yeah. Future plans. Let's wrap up this interview now. Do you have any highs you want to say to anybody you know in Winnipeg? Of course, you probably know lots of people. And what happens after this tour? You alluded to other parts of the world. What goes on for Bachman after the Canadian tour is over?
Well, we're doing the Sun Fest in Gimli, which is very soon. I'm coming back also September the 1st to do a couple of numbers with the Winnipeg Symphony. I just met with a man this afternoon, and he's doing a symphonic chart for the slow Prairie Town, which will be really, really cool. And boy, after that, like I said, we have Germany in October. I have more recording plans. We've got the UK, because our record is we're finalizing the deal in the UK to go over there and do the initial promotion there, and Australia. And like I said, I think I'll be working this album another whole year. People at radio have said I can go 5 and 6 deep on this album as far as releasing singles, that there's really great radio tracks, and I think the best tracks are yet to come. We're getting more and more airplay as we speak, and Tailspin, which is the current single, is top 20, top 10 all over Canada in all different radio formats, and the next single is I Want to Shelter You, and that'll probably be out late August, and things just get better and better. It's really great.
You think you might be falling into the dilemma where you want to record and put out another record, but the first record maybe has just come out or is about to come out in certain countries?
I have that itch. I've got the songs I want to get in the studio, and I have my own studio. I haven't been in it since last July. I went in it a few days ago and took a few cobwebs down, made some tape copies. I did a couple of new demos of Taking Care of Business. Because you probably heard it, Office Depot was using it as their theme all over the United States, and they called and asked me if I would do it in different styles. So I just did it in a Beach Boys style, a jazz style, a Cajun style, because they want to go very regional with the different Office Depots and applying to different businesses. So that kind of got me back into the studio, and I was saying, wow, I want to come back here and record my new songs. And then I had to come on the road here, so I'll have to block out a good couple of months, probably in the spring, to start recording new demos, just so I get to hear them and hear what they're like, because when they're in your head, they're totally different than when you put them on tape.
Any last words? Anyone you want to say hi to?
Hello, Winnipeg. So long been a time.
That about sums it up. Okay, I have made arrangements. We are probably going to see the video for Tailspin, if not in this show, if not April Wine later on in the show, then we'll just go back to me in the studio and I'll tell you what you'll see for the rest of the show. That's about it. We'll see you in half a second in the studio. So long, Randy Bachman. I can't think of any other ways to get out of here. Let's just get out of here. From Winnipeg's only hard rock TV show, Hard Rock Heroes.